Welcome to the Father Notes podcast, and I am your host, Warren W. Patten Jr., or you can call me Father Patten. Father Notes is an informational style podcast created to give fathers a voice in their family structure. I encourage fathers to take back fatherhood and shake the trees of tradition to create a stronger family unit. We'll also delve into men's health, leadership, mentorship, and so much more. Okay, men, it's time to be a better father on purpose. Hello, Father. Father Patten back with you again for episode number 5. Thank you so much for joining in once again. Hey, the last podcast I did, the last episode, I hit on a few things and I said I was going to come back to it. And that was the word boy. Woo! Yes, indeed. And I'm here. I'm going to talk about it today. I am going to talk about it, and I'm going to use my book here called Father Notes, Being a Better Father on Purpose. But I'm going to get right to it. Now, I am going to read straight from the book because I don't want you to miss anything. Because when I put it in the book, I really put a lot of thought into it. But this is really my truth. It may not be the truth, but it is my truth. And I want to share it with you because I believe it works. But when you get down into the details of the terms that we use, the words that we use, the names that we use, you can empower sons and fathers, or you can tear them down. Here we go. Follow me now. This is from the book of Father Notes, Being a Better Father on Purpose. Join me on page 8. Now I'm going to read this now. And this is just an excerpt from the book. And I'll give a little detail as I go. This is all about family identity. You may have noticed that the terms father and son are very important to me. I prefer father versus dad and child or son versus boy. The words hold very different meanings. Let's take a closer look. Yes, I looked these words up and I came up with just what I needed to really understand how I was feeling and how I was going to translate this into my family to create my family identity. First of all, let's talk about the son. The meaning is a male child, a boy or a man in relation to his parents. One's male offspring, derived terms such as grandson, prodigal son, son-in-law, and stepson. I found this in Wiki Difference. And think about it. Do you ever hear the term step boy, step girl? Not often, maybe here or there, but not often. Son and daughter are the titles I think we should use in our family. Period. Son, daughter, not little boy, not little girl. Don't let me get sidetracked now. Let's continue. Boy. Let's get the definition of boy. A male servant with historical undertones. Derived terms such as paper boy, bat boy, bell boy, pizza boy, water boy, and mama's boy. All of those terms made me feel a certain way. Now, we're not going to get into the racial undertones about the word boy because they're still happening today. So I did not want my sons to hear that term. When they were very young, yeah, they probably heard it from my wife and me, little boy. But then it started getting into my soul. I'm like, no. I started addressing my young men as son early on. And I wanted them to address me as father. I'll come back to that. But I use the word son. Let's keep going. Father. Here we go. A human male who rears and is responsible for a child. Ooh, that key word, responsible. Okay, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. This is not just a father that's responsible. Okay, let's talk about the term dad or daddy. Usually a childless, or irresponsible father. Don't hit me. Don't hate me. I'm just giving it to you like I researched it and found it. Now, I'm not saying that all daddies are childless or childish or irresponsible, but a father who takes care of the responsibility because they planned the responsibility of having a child, that's how you can become a true father. I'm going to pause for a second. I know you got to take all of this in. That's okay. But I have more. Over the years, I have practiced and encouraged my family, wife, and 5 sons to use the terms father and mother along with son. Now, we don't have a daughter, but it would have been daughter. I was using daughter as early as I can remember. We never had a daughter, but I use that term frequently to talk about other members of my family. But I did encourage my family to use mother, father, and son. It is so empowering to hear my sons address me as father, not daddy. Father. And I address them as son as early as I can. And then when they became adults, start addressing them by their name. We'll get to that too. Let me give you a little example of how much this impacted me. I became a father. I am a son. And my mother, from the old school, my mother called me baby. She called all of us baby. Baby is not a bad word when you're a child, but when you get grown, I don't want to be with my mother out and about. And she said, "Hey, y'all, this is my baby Warren." No. I told my mother as early as I can remember, please stop calling me baby. Call me son. I am your son, mother. And I would call her mother. Now, she didn't agree with that. What, my child trying to tell me what to say? Yes. Nicely, with respect. And I had to explain to her many times, I am your son. I am no longer your baby. You raised me to be a son. You found me a stepfather to help me become a son, a man. Please don't address this grown man as baby. It took her a while. She finally joined me because every time I saw her, I said, "Hello, mother. How are you doing today? Glad to see you." When I introduced her, this is my mother. Not my mama, my mother. You have to be intentional, dedicated. If you want to make change, you have to be the one person that can do it. I chose that life. I am that person. No shame in my game. To this point, she's 84. She's calling me son because I start the conversation. "Hello, mother." She said, "Hello, son." That's all I want. The identity is established. Let's continue. I address my sons as sons, and Maya Angelou says it best: when you know better, you do better. And I said, I know better, and I am going to do better. So when my mother started calling me son, that was affirmation. It works. I had to do the same thing for my father. He calls me son now. I call him father. Identity. It took him a while too. He's from the old school. He's about 4 years older than my mother. They don't live together. So when I go see her, mother. When I go see him, father. Now it just rolls off of their tongue. Hello, son. Hello, father. Now, I don't mean to dump on mothers, but you know, mothers are notorious for using those terms of endearment. Let me say it again, those terms of endearment. Now, I'm going to talk about all of those. Let me list them for you because they drive me crazy. Baby, that was the first one on the list because my mama used to call me baby. Hey, baby. Ugh! Drove me crazy. But hey, I'm past that now. But there are a lot of young men who still are called out of their name by the mother. They also use terms like honey. Come here, honey. That's my darling. Hey, sweetheart. Hey, that's my little love. Hey, sugar. Ooh, how many times have you heard that? Hey, sugar. Everybody named Sugar. Man, woman, baby, girl, boy, everybody named Sugar. Ooh, pumpkin. Pumpkin? That's my angel. Yeah, that's my angel. She 45. That's my angel. Why? Didn't you give your angel a name? Unless her name is Angel. Sweetie. Hey, sweetie, how you doing? Oh my goodness. Why does it have to be a term of endearment? In my home, I made sure we tried to use our son's names. We named them. I wanted them to really appreciate their names and love their names. I didn't want them to really be confused about who they are. We named them, we told them the meanings of their names, and we tried to call them that. Now, yes, my wife struggled with that because she was a school teacher, and everybody was boy, everybody was girl. But you know, she worked very hard with that. And I had to explain why we were doing it. And she heard me using it, and it kind of crossed over, which is very good. So if you're going to do it, you got to explain why you're doing what you're doing. But wait, there's more. I'm still in Father Notes, being a better father on purpose. And I got another excerpt from page 11. Join me if you have the book. And if you don't have the book, you know what to do. I'll tell you about that a little bit later because you need to get the book. Like I said, we called our sons by their names. And we didn't use nicknames. Even though I grew up with a nickname, several nicknames, as a matter of fact, and some of them I really loved because it gave me an identity of what I was doing as far as playing basketball or some of my talents. But most of all, I really loved my name and I owned it from early on. So I started addressing, of course, our sons as sons, and then as they became young adults, like in high school, teenagers in high school, I started calling them Mr. Patten. Hello, Mr. Patten. And then since we have 5 of them, I had to say their first name, and I started using their middle names because I love their middle names. We did a wonderful job on their middle names. So I used to say Lamar Patten. Hello, Mr. Patten. Hello, Lamar. He's the oldest, so I can use him because he got the most of it. So that's how I would address them so that they could get used to hearing their name used formally, Mr. Patten, and get used to other people calling me Mr. Patten. It's all in the identity. Okay, let's go to page 11. Father Notes was created to uplift fathers around the world. We fathers rarely get the respect that we deserve. We are frequently judged by the images of deadbeat dads and absentee dads. Many of those perceptions and misconceptions are voiced by the women who are upset with the person that they have chosen to be with. Yeah, I'm gonna take a pause on that because we all make our choices. We do. Let's strive to eliminate the terms and phrases such as, here we go, hold on to your seat, baby daddy, ugh, deadbeat daddy, and the overused mama's babies, daddy's maybe. Oh my goodness. I have to hold on. Those terms drive me insane. We just need to have some great fathers out there who own their responsibility. Now, we can break this cycle, yes, we can, and truly elevate fathers to be in a position of ownership and responsibility. We can embrace the responsibility and take accountability right now. Uh-huh. Take accountability right now. This is where it starts. And with this podcast, this is what I'm really talking about when I say set the tone in your home, Father. I'm going to say it again, Father. Set the tone in your home. You don't have to be rude. Not abusive. But if you explain where you're coming from, and if you're coming from a good place, your family will respond. If you want to create a united front with you and your wife, talk about some of the things you want to happen in your home. Also, you have to be a good compromiser, and you got to be listening to the views of your wife as well. But when it comes down to it, Father, set the tone in your home. This is all about shaking the trees of tradition. Tradition is there for a reason, and it is valid in each generation. But as generations come about and evolve, we can change the way things are. We don't have to settle for what was happening 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. We don't have to settle for that. We can create the environment that we want for our family. Ooh, I like that. I'm gonna have to write that down. Create the environment that we want for our family. And it will translate. 3 of my sons have families now, and they have children. I can see it already. They're not just like me. Don't get me wrong. They are not just like me. They're not trying to be like me. But the standard, the integrity, the values are there for raising children, especially sons. It is there. I think what we did, my wife and I in this household, is rubbing off on them. We hope it is. And we're still here. We're not overbearing parents, but we still present the image of what we were back then. And we are evolving as we go. There's so much more around these terms in Father Notes, being a better father on purpose. But it goes back to the old thing that I say in my last 4 podcasts. Make the choice to use your voice. Father, it's time to take the responsibility and become the patriarch of your family. That's what I'm striving for. Trying to be the patriarch of this family and do the right thing because it's the right thing. And bring up young men to be responsible fathers and citizens in this world. And I think that's what we've done. So thank you, number one, for tuning in to the Father Knows podcast. Be sure to tell a father, to tell another father to join in. And you can get my book, Father Notes, Being a Better Father on Purpose. It's available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble online. Or you can go to warrenwpattenjr.com and order a copy from my website. Yes. And I'll send you a signed copy for sure. Straight from me. I have some here. Yes, I do. So thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. I hope I can build some listeners, especially fathers, but I don't mind if mother listens. Come on, mother. Talk to your father. Talk to your hubby, your baby. Tell them listen to me, baby. Tell them to listen to Father Notes, Being a Better Father on Purpose, the podcast. Thank you so much for joining. Take care. Thanks for joining the Father Notes podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel at Warren W. Patten Jr. That's Patten Jr. Follow our socials on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Father, make the choice.
to use your voice.